Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight number 352. I'm your host, Alexis J. Soto, joined by Mr. Kyle Lira and Peter Martinez. This is the second week in a row we have Kyle on, which is in and of itself a miracle, so praise be God. Today we're talking about Michael Myers coming back to the cinemas, and he kills a bunch of people. That is right, the sequel to the 2018 Halloween movie.
It is called Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills is out this past week in the cinema as well as on Peacock, and we're going to talk about it as well as all of the different kills that happen in a movie, of course, that is called Halloween Kills. We'll also be discussing the box office in terms of how movies are doing, as well as the movement of release dates from the House of Mouse, whether it comes to Marvel and then also Indiana Jones, DC fandom trailers, which include the Batman, Tom Holland comments about the future of Spider-Man. There's so much to get to on this episode, the podcast that brings you all of the latest stories coming out of the world of movies. Kyle and Peter, how are you doing this week? I believe we're now in the midpoint of October.
Mid-tober. I'm alive. I'm kicking.
It's lovely. It's lovely. It's another month.
That it is. Shall we start, of course, with Peter's favorite segment, which is what we saw this week. This is, a series of. This is now kind of a. I don't know. It kind of has become a parody of itself, where Peter is just struggling to come up with things that he has seen.
Which it's very weird because he sees everything.
Yeah, I guess I should also make it clear. I mean, and I feel it should be. What we saw this week has been a new thing that we've talked about since the pandemic, and so it's not exclusive to what I guess you saw. I mean, also to what you've been doing, what you've read, what you've purchased. Also, if there are any particular topics that we're not going to get to, that you let's say, I want to talk about this or this topic that's I know is not going to come up.
Or this.
Or Tootsie, the cat, Peter's number one girl. I mean, anything. I got some tweets. I want to discuss.
Okay, you go first then.
But I have.
Oh, you want to go last? Okay, fuckers.
Sure, yes.
Ridiculous.
We all saw Halloween Kills. That's for a start, and we'll discuss that at the end of the show. But
that's the thing. Usually, what I see for the week is what we're gonna fucking discuss, so it doesn't fucking count.
Okay, I'll start. I'll give you some time because I got a couple of things here. So I've got a little bit of a story first. So, we were all supposed to see Halloween Kills together.
Oh, no.
We were all supposed to see it last Friday. And yet, a couple of people bailed, namely not me. I was
not
dumped on at the last. Hey, you were saying you got a family function, and Kyle had a school function. So it's true. I was the one that was left alone, so I braved it and I was planning on seeing Halloween Kills at 7 o'clock last Friday. And then I arrive at the local Cinemark, and then I really couldn't believe the sight that awaited me. A line stretching to the door, and you could all tell you could tell just walking in there what exactly everybody was there to see. And that was, of course, Michael Myers killing some people. No, it wasn't. No, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I think you'll be surprised. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I'm not even. Just 15 minutes. I usually arrive you get there 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the screen time usually, and you're good to go. There's no need to huss or fuss about it for the most part. Mm-hmm. And lately, of course, because pandemic era, it's not that much of a thing. But evidently, this is the most. It has come close to looking like pre-COVID times. It was just the workers, the employees. Man, they looked like they were just swamped. They didn't even think they saw it coming. They were just, hustling and bustling with getting the concessions and getting those tickets. I at that moment was already walking in. Okay, do I really want to put myself through this? And I was at that point, I was okay, I need to rethink some things here. As I'm reevaluating, even more of a flood of people walk in, all there for the same thing, which included several children of all ages, which is great because I don't discriminate. I hate them all. And in this case, some of them actually, and you know what? Good for people who want to celebrate the occasion, unless you're Kyle, and dress up for the movie. Well, I don't know if anybody mentioned last week in the No Time to Die review, but you came dressed up in a full suit. And I loved Peter's reaction to that when he realized that. And I'm surprised that you, Peter, were surprised that Kyle showed up in a full piece suit.
Yeah, I shouldn't be.
But like, you were still surprised. You shouldn't have been. Peter,
I understand that's my failing. Yes.
We've been friends for I don't know how long, and like
2 years.
Okay. Anyway, children walked in and they were dressed as Michael Myers, and honestly, that's awesome to see. But that does not make for a great viewing experience for me. Crowded theaters back before the dark times, before the Empire, as we say, those were fun. You want to be in those and get all those reactions. But in the COVID era, they kind of feel icky and gross and a bit like, I can be in a theater and let's say it's a half a theater and that's fine. But if it's like the whole thing is packed, I begin to feel claustrophobic, honestly. So it was like, no, I can't do this. I immediately texted Peter pictures of what was going on. He himself was surprised at the reaction that was happening, and I told him, you know what? Fuck it. I'll wait and I'll see it with you tomorrow. Because I can't put myself through this. So what I did instead was watch No Time to Die again, because guess what? It was completely empty. Every seat in the house was ripe for the taking.
Were you yelling at the screen?
Why would I be yelling at the screen?
I don't know. You're there alone.
Well, I mean, when I purchased the tickets, I was, but then actually a good, I think some 20 or so people did walk in eventually, as the movie got going. And I was telling Peter, it's like No Time to Die actually counts as one of the things that I watched this last week. It is such a good movie, and it's such an enjoyable movie as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it the first time, and I think kind of loved it the second time. There was just these moments where Craig is just so moving, particularly with his sequences with Sadu, everything about this movie just kind of sings and works in a way I wish most movies would today. And that may be a theme throughout tonight's episode. Just, FYI for those of you listening that they don't make them like they used to. And I think there'll be a lot of
fucking
crap. Well, there'll be a lot of crap, particularly directed at Marvel for that. But I think a lot of the reaction that I've been seeing has kind of reaffirmed that, this is just a really great movie. It's obviously imperfect, as most movies are. But yeah, I guess my thing is, second time watching it, I liked it a lot more the second time, as I usually do. If I like a movie a lot like the first time, the second time really, I think, enhances it. The length wasn't as much of an issue for me the second time, only because I knew how long it was. That being said, it's still pretty fucking long. It's still 2 hours and 45 fucking minutes, which that's kind of a tall order for it. So yeah, that's what I saw first. I also did a rewatch of The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which is by Mike Flanagan. I know he's a stranger to you, Kyle, but you should meet Mr. Flanagan's work because it's actually some of the best stuff you'll ever see. And rewatching it, I loved it the first time. We did this big show last year with the Morenos, Peter, you and I, about how great this was.
Not Kyle.
No, he couldn't be there. We did this really big show, this review of the series, and I loved it so incredibly much that time. And then watching it this second time has just kind of you know what? This is even better than I thought. And there was this to me, like with this and Doctor Sleep, is like this is what I think I love about Flanagan's work with horror. It's that it's not just all of, there's a lot of like horrendous, just like tragic stuff that happens in both of those stories. And at the end of it, he's able to find some like overwhelming sense of optimism and hope, and just beauty in it. That, I mean, of course, like
Midnight Mass.
Yeah, no, that one did not have no. Check out our review for that one. But no, that last episode, Peter, I know that you had a lot of problems with how Flanagan closed out, as I guess from a creative standpoint. I recall them. But I think I was just so won over with like just the pure emotion of it. I was bawling that last episode. Just moments, where it all comes to its resolution and the family comes together. It's so good. And I guess this is the time where I can really bring up this whole sideshow happening on film Twitter in regards to Mike Flanagan.
Oh God!
Evidently,
that's why you bring it up.
Doesn't know anything about horror. Or doesn't do horror, is the discourse happening right now. And again, having rewatched this, I just can't help but think that these people don't have a damn clue what they're talking about. Because, hey, I'm not a horror like expert. That's you, Peter, by all means. That's definitely you here. But I don't know. I was pretty fucking terrified. And horror is more than just a collection of jump scares, which there are plenty here. Horror can be a lot of different things. As you say, Peter, sometimes the best horror is the horror you come to see in real life. And I think Haunting a Hill House kind of captures that perfectly. Even though there are ghosts in it, it's still very much grounded in what you would see in a real story. And these big, thematic issues. What do you make of this resistance to Flanagan, I would say, from particular horror audiences, that I guess they don't recognize his works as horror, or are they just saying that it's just not scary enough?
Fuck 'em.
Any elaboration?
Oh, really? I need to elaborate? I mean, clearly I disagree. I think they're very well done. But like, I don't know. I guess it doesn't bother me because I've talked about this before. I don't need horror films to be scary. There's plenty of horror films that I like because they're good films and they're atmospheric and they're fun and they have good characters. And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm scared. Like I've seen a lot of horror films, a lot. So some of the tricks don't work on me. Like if you were to ask me, like the original Halloween, when I watch it, am I like terrified watching it? No, it's a fun film. But what makes it so good is the craft and the tension and the directing, the tone, all of it, right? So for me, when people are like, because I get this all the time, right? Because I'll see a horror movie and I'll be like, oh, I really like it. And then people are like, but I wasn't scared. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't care. That's not the way I judge horror films, which might be weird for some people, but I don't know.
I mean,
that's the way I am.
I mean, the way I could justify it is because, like, the name itself, horror, and so, like, you expect with that thing to be completely shocked, terrified, and, have that shock value with it, so I could...
But genres are this sort of... We created genres in order to sort of section off film, right? But, like, genres aren't this binding contract that, like, because there's many films where they fit into multiple genres and stuff like that. So this idea, to me, genres aren't this, like, they don't exist. They're not this thing. It's these sort of general guidelines that we created in order to better categorize film.
But yet again, like stuff like James Wan's Conjuring trilogy, like I wasn't...
Duology.
Hmm?
Duology. He didn't direct the third one.
Yeah, he didn't do the third movie.
He didn't do the third one?
No.
If you watched it with us, you would know. I
Or
understand
if you
it
listened
didn't
to
have
our
a-
review of it, you would know that this was the case.
I know there was no Disney in the title. I understand, but
Funny. But anyway, with his, Conjuring work and all that stuff, was I terrified? No at all. But I love the character dynamic between Vera and Patrick so much that that transcends my interest of peeking into the horror genre, and I'm just liking these characters live in this atmospheric world, and so I that's the thing. And also I know there's scary elements, but I like the idea of in the first It, I love the fact that the thing that he was scared most of, you're trying to figure out what makes Pennywise tick, and you find out later on that it's fear that makes him, tick. Just fear.
I thought you were gonna say love.
No, that it's
The
actually
power of love.
the power of love. If only it were that movie. If it was Stephen King. Wait, no, never mind. but yeah, the whole theme of fear, and I think was really well put. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. I just like living in worlds, and it whether it be eerie, that would be good enough for me in terms of what it is, and that's my stance on horror. I don't know.
Yeah. So the next thing is here. I was really happy to see one of the people I follow on film Twitter, Bailey, or otherwise known as @LoverBoyMedium. Now that's a name we can all get behind, right? @LoverBoyMedium.
You love boys?
Talking about Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, which is, as we all know, one of my that's my favorite of the Pirates films. Warts and all. Peter probably saying, of course, Alexis, you're entitled to your wrong opinions. And thank you. I appreciate the permission there. And where he says, talking about the sequence of the Maelstrom and all of that 30-minute or maybe even 40-minute sequence at the end of the movie, the climax, if you will, talking about, blockbuster set pieces peaked with this, and it's never going to be matched.
So you're telling
one day.
So you're telling me...
Wait. One day I will write 10,000 words on how at World's End climax will never be touched ever. It is everything modern franchise blockbusters are trying to hit, but don't have the sheer audacity to commit to. It's insane, it's dire, it's thrilling, it's hilarious, and most importantly, it's so fucking horny. This movie came out in 2007, and it looks better than anything since. Mic drop.
I mean, that entire third act of Pirates of the Caribbean was horny. But let me get this straight. So a guy by the name of Loverboy talked about climaxes. Interesting.
Peter?
You wanted him here, Alexis.
Did I?
Yes. You were crying. You said you needed him.
Aw. No, but I completely... Okay, the thing that really sold me on, as much as, a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean I am, I'm the living...
Are you really?
Yeah, believe it or not, Sorry.
That may be what we're most known for, is our Pirates audio commentaries on the YouTube channel.
because these idiots think that they're gonna watch the movie on YouTube, but where's the damn movie? Enough so where we had to put a wall against the freaking comments on there and completely shut it off. But anyway, the thing that really sold me, if it wasn't just because of Pirates alone, was the fact that Davy Jones and Jack Sparrow would be showing off on top of a mast in the third movie, and I was just like, can I have it now? And and that happens in that climax. And so just this whole thing, there are so many things going off, so many stories closing within that time frame of that whole entire action set piece. And like one of the biggest, things where Jack Sparrow completes an arc is in the third one, where, instead of choosing, immortality or saving the life of a friend, he decided to save the life of a friend, and I think that was a huge step. And, you got all these like character beats, freaking Barbosa officiating a wedding. I think that's some great shit as well. I mean, just like everything, the side gags with Pintel and Rigetti, and all that stuff. It's great. It's great. And also, might I add that the CG is probably better. Not probably better. Is better than, I would dare say, the Marvel pictures today.
It's better than anything, any blockbuster. Like it came out in 2007 and looks better than anything since. And I think that's because of how much money was put into this. Do not forget, at one point, at World's End was the most expensive movie ever made.
Now it's on Stranger Tides now. You're welcome.
If only they'd used that money for a script. So what you saw this week was tweets?
I'll get... Okay, do you have any commentary on this?
I don't know if I said this on here, but I know I told you. Maybe I told
Then you
Kyle.
probably didn't on here.
Oh, maybe. I said, and this is some... this has never been said at all. My childhood was the best time ever for this in particular thing. But I'll make the argument. I think blockbuster filmmaking fucking peaked at around the time we were growing up. I think I said that. I might have said that with the Harry Potter when we discussed Harry Potter.
You alluded to it, but you didn't really elaborate on that too much.
Yeah, but like you have the Harry Potter films, the Lord of the Rings films, the Pirates films, like
Raimi.
It was the Raimi Spider-Man films. It was just this perfect point in time where you
X-Men.
had vast amounts of money being spent for these blockbusters. You had that perfect section, like cross section of CG and real practical effects. This was still a point in which the studio would give somewhat artistic freedom to to their filmmakers and let them go nuts. And it's just like there's a million different things at this point where everything lined up perfectly, right? Like you could still get these big blockbusters made with directors fully having it, well, maybe not fully, but it felt like an actual film, which we've talked about endlessly, and we might talk about more, about how it feels almost rare at this point to see a blockbuster and have it feel like a film. But at that point, that was the norm. The CG was its best that it's ever been.
I mean, looking within the franchise, Davy Jones still fucking blows my mind.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The practical effects, all of that. And I think it's not like there isn't fantastic blockbusters still being made. Hopefully we'll see one of those next week. But it's not the norm for blockbuster film.
Right. Every now and then, perhaps we'll get a blockbuster that just slipped through the cracks, if you will, and does wow us. But for the most part, they just feel like they're not even trying, honestly, in that department anymore.
They feel like they're built in a factory now.
Yeah.
And it kind of is. Like I don't want to call them out, but the MCU, with their woke agenda.
Good God.
Open
up that can of worms, why don't you?
Oh, yeah. No, but all kidding aside, like, unless you're a big filmmaker, the MCU basically functions like television. And in television, directors really don't matter that much.
The writers matter more. So.
Yes. And sort of the producers, the people in charge.
The
and
showrunner.
TV directors will tell you that. Yeah, the showrunners.
Yeah.
Which the showrunner here is Kevin Feige. Because what happens is it's basically a well-oiled machine. The show is, and then a director will pop in and maybe kind of add a thing here or there, put in their own flair. But for the most part, they can kind of run without a director.
I think. Sorry to.
And I feel, just to finish that real quick, and I feel that's kind of how the MCU is, and I feel that's how, because it's so successful, a lot of other studios want to emulate. Go ahead.
I think it's funny because like when we were growing up, it was like kind of like the golden age of Blockbuster 2.0, you know, and so we had that, you know, that bit, but right now we live in the golden age of television, you know, and so like it's weird how like the two seemingly, you know, coincide, that it has to be, you know, serialized, you know, everything has to fit together in one cohesive story, even at the detriment of, you know, some movies in general, you know, and so you see that, you know, go on with the progression of like all these movies that are coming out, and I think that we're looking at like a prolonged thing. It's gonna go well into the 20s here. So yes, Alexis.
Oh no, continue.
Oh no, that's it. That's just I just found it funny that those two things viciously coincide, you know, with each other.
Yeah, I guess like since we're already on this, we'll go ahead and talk about this right now. I don't think you two, unless you had some other things, but you know, you brought up the issue. Well, because I might as well.
Go ahead.
Brought up the issue of Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting ready to see Eternals pretty soon. Peter said that there's some reactions happening. They're imminent.
They're
anyway.
going to. I think the premiere is going on right now.
And I thought it was really interesting, you know, Peter and I had, you know, we had an interesting discussion on the way to go see Halloween Kills about like whether or not, you know, we're excited and how we feel about all this stuff. And, you know, my response to like how I feel with Marvel, it's really been a roller coaster. I guess the point of what I'm saying is I haven't really loved a Marvel movie in a very long time. And I think for Peter, maybe even longer still. I think we came to the point where, you know, he loved the third act of Endgame. Maybe not so much the movie. But it's like, I was half watching Avengers Endgame the other day. I say half watching because it was on in the background and I really wasn't paying attention to it until like parts, bits and pieces here and there in the third act of it, you know, as it's coming to a ramp up. And again, I'm not really watching the movie. It's just on, you know, as white noise. I just put it on for the dogs. That way they can shut up. And I found myself getting sucked into it and like feeling the same kind of emotion, any kind of emotion, period. But the same kind of emotion and like excitement I felt like when the movie was brand new in the theater. And like moment after moment, I was like, why the fuck am I crying? I wasn't even like giving this the time of day. And then here I am. And then I thought, oh, that's right. This is how these movies used to make me feel. And I haven't felt like this in a long time when it comes to Marvel movies. I get that from other kind of movies now. I'm hoping to get that from Dune. You know, we'll talk about the Batman. We got it kind of like with No Time to Die. And the thing this is missing from Marvel movies now. And I think like, you know, I think the MCU did really end for me as far as like having like emotional investment with Endgame. That's number one. Number two, everything else that's come out afterward has just felt like, okay, that was nice.
But
okay.
The multiverse.
So yeah, that's where we are with this this Marvel stuff. Last bit of stuff here that I have, I wanted to just commemorate the fact that I Love Lucy turned 70 years old. One of the big sitcoms, Reba's sitcom, actually turned 20 years old. If you can believe that.
She's still surviving.
I actually have here a piece for Variety, taking a deep dive into the show. Looking back at Reba, the first season of the series was actually particularly subversive, playing to a number of cliches and stereotypes, from teen pregnancy to hypocrisy and double standards in the Bible Belt. In a setting, for all intents and purposes, should have been more Norman Rockwell than Jerry Springer. The Harts, that's the name of the family, were a perfect in quotation marks, all-American middle-class family. But from the moment the series began, the reality of that type of concept was constantly undercut, only in a comedic way that, looking back, honestly made the series the Roseanne of the WB generation. From Reba's struggles to keeping her and her family's heads above water, to the relationship between Simple, Van, and Cheyenne, to Reba's reluctant friendship with Barbara Jean, a relationship that became the unexpected center of the show, these bits connected because of how real they were among the broad comedy. 2 decades later, Reba is remembered fondly, as it has syndication homes on networks like Lifetime and Hallmark and streams on Hulu. Just this summer, the series' theme song led to I'm a Survivor TikTok trend, in which McIntyre even participated. On social media, nostalgia reigns supreme, and in this particular case, it's often the WB generation questioning why they connected so much to a series about a middle-aged, divorced, single mother when they were the complete opposite. It's quite simple. Reba's a survivor.
She has gentle hands in the heart of a fighter. Okay?
I expect that from Kyle.
How can you not connect with that?
Yeah, so I wanted to put that out there.
Barbara Jean.
Oh my God. I was really happy to see 90-year-old William Shatner get overcome with emotion after going to space. That was really nice to see.
Or did he?
No, we're not. We're not opening up these Kubrick. Kubrick faked the moon landing. He filmed that and everything.
Is space real, or is it what the elites want you to think?
And my last thing I have here, obviously, do you know there's a show called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., guys? Have you heard of it? We previously talked about how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was doing really well in Brazil. I believe it was a month ago or so that I saw that it had reached number 1 in anticipation for the 7th season to drop on the service. Believe it or not, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. seems to be available everywhere on the planet except in America when it comes to Disney+. But a lot of regions had not yet had the 7th season drop. And so what was really curious to see was to see Disney Plus promote this at all, or Disney promote this in a way it never really has from them, or at least not in a very long time. But they were really giving it such an aggressive push in the lead up to it. It was even a poster. It was the same poster that they had for season 7, but they actually had the Disney Plus insignia on it, which, wow, how lucky are we to be able to have that? And look, it's just really, it makes me feel good to see this wonderful show that I've been such a champion of succeed in the face of such negativity, especially when it comes here in the States, especially all the stuff that we cover. But it just seems to me that consistently it's proven to be quite a popular series. And we have 2 different metrics here that we're looking at with Disney Plus trending at the moment in 10 countries of the Latin American regions, which were one of the last regions to not have had season 7 of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually drop. It is currently the 2nd most watched TV show on the entire service. Which, that's just not something you're used to seeing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., wait, it's close to the top and it's doing well. Well, you know what? By God, miracles do happen, it seems like. And then on top of that, when you look at the worldwide Disney Plus streaming chart, I believe S.H.I.E.L.D. jumped from, it was in the number 23 or 24 most streamed TV show when it came to the worldwide Disney Plus trending chart. And because of this debut in Latin America, it has now jumped to the 4th most watched TV show on the entire service, which makes me very happy. And ultimately, because new people are finding this show has definitely found its audience overseas, and it just it's it's weird, but it's also nice to see Disney recognizing its popularity and its success over there, so much so that they're promoting it like that. It's just, again, it has to be reiterated. The show is like actually used in promo ads in France, side by side to WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was even reading somewhere they actually put up a billboard for this show that literally stopped airing new episodes over a year ago. And to me, somebody who's so used to seeing this show's name be, just dragged through the mud every which way, it's just so nice to see that not happening for a change and quite the opposite, and to have this show really enjoy, some kind of like wonderful positivity. And this is, again, I should stress, quite some time after it's finished airing. And so I love it. I'm here for it. And at the very least, if I get nothing else with these characters ever again, I can enjoy and have some comfort in the fact that it will continue to build an audience, and it will continue to find new people that feel exactly how I feel about this show, and then they'll come to recognize how overlooked and how belittled and dismissed, underrated really, it is when it comes to all of the different comic book properties we talk about. I mean, just as far as TV shows, I can't think of a show. I mean, it's not the best TV show by any means on TV, but it definitely at times was the most entertaining and just the best kind of comfort quality when it came to, other shows in this genre. I actually saw, some interactions on. I keep actually seeing these particular thoughts put out there by, fellow Shield stans, if you want to call them that, saying that, they really wish they would have gotten the show with a Disney Plus budget that, have accompanied the other shows like WandaVision or Loki. And like, I understand that kind of desire because, of course, you'd want to see the effects at the highest caliber possible. But at the same time, one, that couldn't happen with the number of episodes Shield had every season, even in the shorter seasons, 13, or even probably in the Ghost Rider arc was only 7 episodes. That probably still wouldn't accompany it as far as like, justifying the budget. That can't be. So people don't have that awareness first and foremost. But second of all, like, to me, part of the appeal to me for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that they have such limitations to work with. And what I've always been so taken with is how the writers and the creators, and literally all the creators when it comes to the crafts, even though I know Peter criticizes the bad makeup sometimes, sure, whatever. It ain't perfect. It ain't great by a long stretch of the imagination. Some effects are great, some are less than great, and some you can really tell where the budget was slashed. But for me, where the appeal comes, where the joy of it comes, is that it often feels like this show that, it does have money behind it, but it doesn't have the money that these other shows have had, or, support as far as infrastructure is concerned. But it really often felt like this little mom and pop thing that everybody on the crew came together and it felt like a family. And, the finished product was a labor of love. And you definitely feel that through the scripts and through the characters and the actors and all of the scenes in these episodes, in this particular show. And all the little stuff that you see, where you see through the cracks of like, well, clearly, we have this entire episode where we could be elsewhere, but we're in hallways because, well, yeah. Or sometimes they dressed up a set really nicely as well. But to me, like the low budget, the effects, which I would never say they're terrible. I think they're pretty good considering this was network television. And Mark Kolpak, the lead VFX person, will tell you again and again and again what little he had to work with, but also how much he was able to stretch that budget. Again, they recently did win an award in Australia. It was the first award that FX, the VFX company that did the effects for S.H.I.E.L.D., won an international award. So look, I know based on that mirroring, I'm not alone in that whatsoever. but yeah, these little things here and there, it's like it often. I think people kind of forget what really makes the show special, and that's just one of those aspects. It's that, yeah, on some level it's cheap, but also on some level it's kind of like, okay, we can roll with it because the writing is so good and the characters are so good, and what we're doing here is just so much fun, and it works at the end of the day. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. It's like, and it really kind of reinforces what Clark Gregg has always said. He's always called this show the little engine that could. And to me, it's like, it's always nice to see this little engine that could consistently prove people wrong. It's so consistently undermined and dismissed, and yet here we are a year later, and it is finding new audiences and finding success, and seemingly Disney is seeing the potential that could be there, and I'm hoping for more, of course. But if all it means is that people find the show and they love it, that'll be good enough for me. So those are my thoughts for that. Who else wants to say anything about what they saw this week?
I saw Squid Game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty darn good. I like it. It's a big old bag of
Netflix. That was Peter Martinez's glowing review.
Yes, it's a big old bag of capitalism bad. It's very entertaining. It's very entertaining. It's very tense. There's good characters, some neat visuals. Yeah, no, I get why a lot of people were drawn to it, and especially considering our socioeconomic status in this country, I see why a lot of people connected. I have not finished it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on episode 4.
Yeah. My dad
Mm-hmm.
actually fucks hard with Squid Game. He loves it, and
Why did you have to phrase it that way?
Anyway, so like he actually really likes Squid Game and all that stuff, and like he said that this is the first time, like, he's actually really, dove headfirst into a show and actually like really, really loved, so
It's good.
yeah.
It's really good. And keeping with those political implications, I'm reading, since if we count fucking reading tweets, then my comics very much count.
I made very clear, I don't know, sometimes people don't listen because they tune out for whatever reason, but I made clear at the very beginning of the show that what we saw this week extends to also whatever you'd like to discuss and whatever topic you'd like to bring up, as I so did, and some of which were ignored. So in case you forgot, this is what this is about.
Okay. I was reading Jason Aaron's Thor. Which was like I think I read like the 4th volume of the very beginning of his 7-year run on Thor. And the first story that he wrote was about Gore the God Butcher, which is going to be the main villain in
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. But I read that one a while back. The one I read this time, it's again sticking with the themes of I don't know, a fucked up world from Squid Game. I read The Last Days of Midgard, and that one it's a story about it's like 2 parallel stories, and it's about Thor trying to save the world from human beings, right?
Mm-hmm. As one god does.
Yeah. Well, one story takes place in the present, in which he's trying to keep humans from polluting the earth to the point where all humans die. And then the next story takes place a millennia from now with old King Thor, where the earth has been dead for a very long time and humans have been gone for a very long time. But he's trying to save Galactus from destroying whatever is left of this dead earth because, sentimental value.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually really good. It's a really well done story. He takes on the Roxxon Corporation from it's the evil capitalist corporation.
It's the
of
by and
of
large
MCU.
It's the by and large organization
it's the
from
by and
Wall-E.
large.
From Wall-E.
And the CEO is just a massive piece of shit. He's also a Minotaur.
Because
why not? Because comics. And yeah, it's great because like Thor comes in and he just wants to like wreck shit, and then he gets sued, and and he has like fucking what's it called? Where you can't come within a certain amount of feet.
Oh, he's got a restraining order.
He has restraining orders on him. And then at this point, Asgard is floating above a Midwestern city on Earth, like because this is past Ragnarok and all that stuff. So it's like a floating city above there. So they move their Roxxon has floating massive machines that what do you call them? Get oil and shit like that.
Okay.
Create smog, all that. And they move their operations directly above this town and basically destroy it and buy it out from under them. And like Thor, he's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, I can't do anything because of the law. Because of the law, and like he's a god and he's not used to that, and he's just trying to, all he wants to do is just wreck shit, and he can't. And he's feeling unbelievably powerless. And then the stories cut back and forth between him sort of failing in the present and him trying not to fail again in the future, where he's trying to kill Galactus. And yeah, I don't know. It's really well done. It's a really good just study of the character of Thor and his humanity and his love for Earth and the people, Midgard. And yeah, that's what I read. That's kind of just basically what I've been doing. I read that. I watched a bit of Squid Games, and did I watch anything else?
It certainly wasn't Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, no, but like statistically, that's everyone.
Salt.
Did you say assault?
I said salt.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I think assault's the better way of phrasing
the better
it.
word.
Yeah. That's how I feel right now. Kyle, do you have anything?
Okay, so I saw a viral video of this actor by the name of Jamie Costa, and he's known for his impressions, but also he's kind of a good actor as well.
And I know what this is.
Yeah, and it was his screen test for if he ever got involved with a Robin Williams biopic of sorts. And like the scene that he did was taking place in the Mork and Mindy era. And so I was like, you know what? I haven't seen a good number of Mork and Mindy episodes.
Did you literally just go back and see it because of this?
Basically, yeah. So I watched that. Oh, by the way, that screen test is amazing. I don't know. I think it's amazing. It's just like
people were so fucking annoying about, like, yeah, he did a good job. I agree. It was a good impression of Robin Williams, but holy shit, people would just, oh god.
Yeah. The thing I don't agree with is sending his children this video over and over again.
That's just so fucking weird. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
For his kids, like especially his
Zelda,
his daughter. Yeah. Because like anything Robin Williams related, like people just bombard her with that, and it's like she, like, you may have enjoyed Robin Williams movies growing up, but that was her dad. Like, you guys share a very different relationship. And it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. And I'm sure she has a lot of emotional stuff going on because her dad's gone, right? And
the way he went too, I mean, it's just all tragic,
but,
you know.
Again, I don't want to get into that because that's personal stuff, but like, yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, don't be
Yeah,
throwing
that I don't agree with. You could gush about like how like it brings back memories and all that stuff. So, but anyway, so I saw a little bit of I saw a little bit of Mork and Mindy. What else? Oh, I finished the Storyteller book by Dave Grohl. That was amazing. I also saw, out of shits and giggles, this is weird, but like this is like thumbnail culture in a nutshell. There was a movie on YouTube that I watched, and it was called The Further Adventures of Walt's Frozen Head. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's about this guy, and he feels disconnected from his daughter. And so like, and in turn, like, cause he's a cast member at Disney, he finds in the, the utilidors underneath the Magic Kingdom. He finds a section that was been like blocked off for years, and it's called, and in that section was Walt's frozen head, you know, and Walt talks, like there's an actor playing Walt and all that stuff, and like he's like saying, you know, I've been looking at, different things of, I plugged into the mainframe of this park. I don't like the way that, things are running. Like, I don't get the point of this. And then they were like, okay, it's this park is about family, and all that stuff. And so that makes him reconnect with his daughter. The end.
The worst thing that ever happened to this earth was Disney adults. I want to let that be known.
I want to just clarify to excuse my laughter. I didn't mean to laugh at anything Kyle was saying. I was just laughing because I'm in the middle of having a mental breakdown. And I'm not even joking about that. I can't. I can't. So, the further adventures of Walt's frozen head. Are we still doing this? Is he still going on about this?
We're in under an hour and you've already broke them. This is a record.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, let's move on now. Let's get into some trailers. The Batman. Go.
It had Batman. It had Catwoman. A+.
It looked like a Batman movie. So there's that.
Yeah. Okay. Let me be serious for 2 seconds because Batman demands my attention.
One.
Okay, go fuck yourself. Okay. One of the things I'll say what worries me about the film, because I actually watched the DC fandom. Oh, I guess I could have talked about that because I did watch all of that. Huh. I always forget the things I watch. Anyway, I watched DC fandom live, and before they had like the director, and he was talking to Robert Pattinson and Zoe Bell. That's not her name. Zoe Kravitz, who will play. I was gonna say Wonder Woman, Catwoman, and the things he said are like, that's awesome, but they worry me because he's like, well, he's basically saying like, oh yeah, like we've never seen like a realistic, gritty Batman really before, and that just made me go like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that really just made me lose my shit because it's like all we have ever gotten is gritty, realistic Batman on the big screen since
Nolan.
Which is,
stop it! You're fucking lying. He didn't say that shit.
He 100% said that shit. And it's just this thing of like, geez.
What?
But I guess what bothers me about that like gritty, realistic route is there's so much fun things about Batman when he isn't being gritty and realistic. And there's so many of his like villains that I would really love to see, but I never get to see because they're not gritty or realistic enough. I want me some badass Mr. Freeze, okay?
Yeah,
I don't
want
like
that too.
And but is it gritty and realistic enough for this franchise? I don't fucking know. There's so many. I want Poison Ivy. Is Poison Ivy gritty and realistic? Obviously not. So it's like, am I ever gonna get Poison Ivy? I don't fucking know. And no, I don't count the Schumacher shit. Neither did Schumacher himself. Don't besmirch that good man's name. So.
Oh man, you really just bummed me out. That's
really stupid, right?
Every Batman movie has been gritty, and it's gone for the same thing. To say that like Batman's never been done gritty before, it's like, where have you been the last 20 years?
Okay, I think what he means is
since
that
the fucking 80s. Well,
what does he mean, Kyle? What do you think he means?
I think what he means is that we've never had an R-rated Batman on the big screen.
What?
Like an R-rated Batman?
It's not going to be R-rated.
This is not going to be R-rated Batman.
It's not?
What made you think it was going to be R-rated?
I thought this was going to, like, a long time ago we talked about it, and that they were shooting for an R rating of this.
If it's R-rated, why are they making kids' toys of it?
They're making kids' toy? What the fuck?
And honestly, I don't want an R-rated Batman. I don't. Okay.
They're not gonna
never
do
mind.
that.
Forget everything.
Yeah,
wait.
go fuck yourself.
They're not gonna do an
too,
R
buddy.
rating. They're not gonna do an R rating on a movie that can potentially make $1 billion, because that's gonna hamper that potential outcome. You cut off your audience and you do that. And so maybe there could be some elements that could be adjacent toward an R rating or R rating adjacent, but they're not, and they never were going to give it the actual R rating because it's just bad business.
Yeah, it's really fucking stupid. I do not believe that it will be R rated, at all. Like, they're making fucking kids' toys of it. They have Lego sets. They have Lego sets of the fucking thing. It's not going to be R rated.
You see, I don't pay attention to the merchandise.
It's because you're not a real fan, and I understand that. Once again, no Disney logo.
Okay, now I'm done.
I win. I'm the last one standing. But no, so like that's the main thing that really holds me back when it comes to this. That being said, when you look at the trailer, it's fucking beautiful. And I don't think it's going as realistic, quote unquote, as Nolan. Nolan was he tried to, like, to me, that's as grounded as you can get with Batman and still have it not make sense. Well, still have it make sense. Here, I do think they're going a little bit more heightened. Like, things that make me excited are like the fucking Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
When he's like, "Whoa, sweetheart," you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, you could have gone like with this like super like grizzled, like, I'm the Penguin. I'll give you blood. But the I don't know, gritty and realism, right? But they didn't go for that necessarily here, right? It's not as fantastical as Tim Burton's Penguin, obviously, because that's Tim Burton. But he's still he's obviously fun. He's bombastic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And like so much of the Batman Catwoman shit is like straight out of the comics,
yeah.
like fucking Tom King's run. One of the more recent runs where Batman proposed to Catwoman, and it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
That tension though, you could cut it with a knife.
There's one issue where Batman and Catwoman and Superman and Lois Lane go to a fair. And it's superhero day, so they switch costumes, and they're like meeting each other for the first time. Well, like they're significant others, and it's cute. It's really cool. But no, right? So it's I get worried. I just don't want the gritty, realistic Batman. Blah 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 blah. I got it with Nolan. I don't need it anymore. This does seem gritty, and there is a certain level of realism to it. but I feel like it's definitely open to the fantastical. Like, another thing, Batman is completely bulletproof in this, right? And with Nolan's, they never go full bulletproof because that wouldn't be realistic, right? It's like, well, you have the Kevlar. You can kind of stop some bullets.
What, they went vibranium with it?
They went full vibranium with his fucking, like, you see him like, and he's just like walking like nothing, right?
Because he never freezes.
I flipped them off. So I do think there's, and also the way Gotham looks, it doesn't just look like New York. Or Chicago, the way the Nolan films look, it looks like a fantastical Gotham.
Like, those skyscrapers were fucking like
gorgeous.
Tall as shit and all that stuff, and seeing them leap off of that shit was amazing. Also, like, the Paul Dano stuff with, you know, the question mark in his cappuccino, like, it's just like those little elements.
Goddamn millennial fucking villains. No, like, he seems a lot like they're like the comics that it feels like they're pulling from. It feels like they're pulling from Hush, The Long Halloween, which I hear it starts on Halloween night, the movie, and Batman Year One, Batman Earth One, like sort of the more realistic stories, but they still have elements of fantasy in them, and I just hope that, because it looks so great, like it looks like it feels like everything I've wanted in a Batman movie for a long time, whereas the Nolan stuff felt too realistic, and the Snyder stuff felt too stabby. Yeah. This feels like, okay, like, we get it. Like, there's color. It's beautiful. The character dynamics, they have life to them. The music, the score, it's gritty and realistic, but there's room for fantasy in there. So it feels like it's while I'm a little bit worried, Matt Reeves is a fantastic director, and from everything I see in the trailer, I just really, really like. So
my comments, the comments that Matt Reeves made, that kind of threw me. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because if you've seen a Batman movie the last 20 years, yeah, that is, I agree with you, that is worrisome. But Matt Reeves is a terrific filmmaker, and I feel like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes are among my favorite movies ever. And I think some of the poster boys for what a great blockbuster series can be like. I think that franchise really, you know, Rupert Wyatt did a great job with the first installment, but that trilogy wouldn't be what it was if it not for Matt Reeves stepping in. And on that faith alone, I'm just expecting a good movie.
It's the best trilogy of, like, this era, and it kind of
no one talks about it.
It sneakily did that, you know?
Yeah, sure. And no one talks about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I meant by sneakily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this happened.
The thing I like about this trailer is that it screams like some of my favorite Batman material happened in the video games with the Arkham series.
There's a lot of Arkham there too.
Yeah, and it felt a very like reminiscent and vibey with, you know, with that, you know, especially with the Catwoman shit. Like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, when she hopped off, I just thought of like Arkham City when she would like dive and then. Like,
yeah,
when you played as Catwoman and you'd like
and then use the whips and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it's great shit, and also like the actor, this shit is like well cast to me, you know. The thing that worries me is like what we discussed earlier today.
Oh,
is the
about them casting Kristen Stewart as the Joker.
The Joker, yes. Joker, yes. If they had the balls and
female Joker, I'm with it.
If they had the balls and had Kristen Stewart play the Joker, like, I would be like, okay, I'm good.
You know what I would love? If she acted the same way she did in Twilight.
Oh my god!
Where she's just like, um, are you the Batman?
I love how you said she acted as if that counted as acting.
Oh God, I hope that's not her actual personality.
And
no, she's a good actress. She is.
Yeah. But like
it's the same with Pattinson. You can't hold them to account for those films.
No.
Yeah.
But it's like Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan in 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh yeah. I would never hold them to account for those films.
Cuz like elsewhere, like they're fantastic. I mean, Jamie Dornan and freaking Barb and Star. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I mean, like with the Joker, the Joker element does like scare me a little bit, because I'm not scare me, but just like annoys me, because I'm tired of seeing like Joker and Batman, Batman and Joker. I'm tired.
Like I said, I want to see me some Mr. Freeze. I want to see some Poison Ivy. There's a few other. Fuck it, Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday.
One of the
christened on a Tuesday.
The Mad
I'm
Hatter.
So completely lost at this point.
The Mad Hat. Oh fuck, the Mad Hatter would be fucking neat.
Who?
The Mad Hatter is a villain in Batman. We kind of got Calendar Man, but only as like a brief cameo in Suicide Squad.
I don't know what they're talking about, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, there's so many great Batman villains that they just kind of, because they're a little bit more fantastical, they don't touch on them, which just fucking sucks.
But like Mr. Freeze, when they hired, go
ahead. Oh no, you.
Peter, Alexis, go.
No, continue. Go ahead.
Okay,
you had a question.
It had nothing to do with it. Continue. Go ahead.
Okay, when they hired Peter Capaldi to be in the Suicide Squad, I really, really wanted him to be fucking Victor Freeze.
He was not gonna be Victor Freeze.
I know, but it would have been so good. Like, he could monologue like nobody's fucking business, He
was hired literally to do a monologue.
I know, but like as Mr. Freeze with the the dramatic flair, of him talking about what is life, what is this, like how Victor Freeze normally does.
I would like to see, the Scarecrow. I think Matt Reeves would do a fantastic Scarecrow.
Oh my! Make it no, you gotta have
not realistic and gritty. I want the fucking glove that has the syringes for claws.
Yeah.
And like he just.
And actually, instead of like the freaking hallucination, bit that Nolan did, like actually have him trip balls.
Yeah, you could have a really trippy scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alexis, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask, what do you make of the March release date?
I love it. Right near my birthday.
Same.
It's a nice gift for me.
It's closer to mine.
Fuck you, probably.
Do you think, since just to mention this anyway, do you think that had anything to do with Marvel moving Doctor Strange to May? Because it was gonna end up being in March, Doctor Strange and the Batman, and I feel primarily that's kind of what drove Marvel to push Doctor Strange to May, which then in turn pushed all the Marvel movies back. But that also isn't to say there have been some things we've been hearing about, problems happening on the set of that movie. So do you think that's what ultimately happened more than anything? It was just not to have the Batman go up against Multiverse of Madness?
You mean when Elizabeth Olsen spit in Sam Raimi's face?
Wait, that happened? Or are you making a joke?
Allegedly. I'm alleging it, but maybe we can get that rumor started.
Oh my god. Okay, so it didn't happen. Okay.
No.
Lizzie.
The problem's happening with Doctor Strange. Apparently there isn't a story.
Well, surprise, when the whole point of your film is just multiverse, there's not going to be a fucking story. Whatever. Yeah, no, good fucking move. And that tells you, though, that the mouse can blink every once in a while. Because it really, with these release dates, studios really do play a game of chicken, right?
Yeah.
And this is the first time in a long time where Disney blinked.
I mean, WB did the same thing with BVS, moving it away from Civil War.
Yeah, at that point they blinked.
Yeah. So this is the reverse here.
I mean, it's not a surprise that it happens literally after the trailer drops and everyone loses their shit.
No, like it didn't happen like 24 hours after that.
Yeah, so I don't believe. I think fucking Feige saw the trailer and he's like, "Move it, move it. It's Batman. It looks good."
So Harrison Ford's going to be 82 when Indiana Jones 5 comes out in theaters. Any
He'll be
thoughts on
dead
that?
by the time.
Yeah.
it's over.
My thoughts exactly.
They'll be interviewing his fucking ashes at the world premiere. I'm sorry.
So, Mr. Ford, what did you think about, filming the 5th and final Indiana Jones movie?
Who said it was final?
To his credit, I wanted to see Campia's take on this, and he had actually a pretty good line, saying that I wouldn't put it past Bob Chapek if they were waiting for Harrison Ford to die, that way they can milk his death and hire up the box office for this movie.
God. Oh, I thought you were gonna say they're waiting for him to die so that they can just go ahead and do CG young versions of him. Release CG young versions of Indiana Jones every 2 years.
I mean,
It got pushed back a whole year. Isn't that a bit worrying? Because they're already filming, are they not?
yeah,
Or
they
they're
are
in
filming.
pre-pro- yeah.
No, I told you. I don't know if you guys saw,
the
but
pictures.
there's rumors of a time travel
Travel,
element.
yeah.
I don't buy those rumors. How could there be time travel in this? Couldn't they just be flashback sequences? Or
With the Roman
I would agree,
clothes?
but the flashback was to like knights and people.
With Roman garb.
Roman garb. Yeah. I don't think Indy was alive at that time. I don't know. Maybe
unless he's
flashback.
immortal?
Whoa.
They make him immortal in this movie?
Yeah. Maybe he's the grandson of Palpatine.
Oh my god.
Somehow, he's the
Somehow.
grandson of...
Somehow, Indy has returned.
So, the dead do speak. Oh my god. But
So
like,
there is all... Yes, Kyle?
but yeah, I mean, there's like that kind of element. Oh, by the way, Mads Mikkelsen. Mwah.
We know you're horny for him. You don't have to remind us.
I thought he was going to go horny for Philly Waller Bridge.
No.
Because
Huh?
she's in the movie.
No.
Oh, well, Peter, what are the
Yeah.
odds that she's going to be Marcus Brody's daughter?
Like 99%.
Okay. All right.
Everyone has to be related to someone, especially
I think it's
in
a
these
Disney mandated
It's
thing.
a Disney mandate thing.
Yeah.
Always
Like, oh
stories
my
don't have to end.
god. Do you guys want to talk about that fucking Home Alone trailer? Holy shit.
Yeah, it was on the list of things to talk about, so we can do it right now.
Fuck me.
I vomited.
I want to say the story here is not that the trailer sucks, is what the fuck is up with these people in the film press being so selective with Disney's bullshit. This
Right?
isn't anything different than the fucking Disney live action remakes. It's the exact same playbook, and they were as awful then as they are now, as they are to this Home Alone bullshit. It's just weird to see them so like disgusted and repulsed by the same thing they praised, literally, when they ripped off all the animated movies from the Disney library. I don't see the difference. It's the same shit. And by the way, when it comes to this Home Alone thing, it was a bad idea from the get-go, and seeing how this has got to be one of the worst like things I've seen in a long time. And you just know, looking at this trailer, this is complete and utter dog shit.
This is a slight non sequitur, but against my will, I recently did watch
Against your
Cruella.
will. Oh,
It is one of the most bafflingly stupid films I have ever watched. Like,
Right?
I had my jaw on the floor for about half of it. I don't understand what that film was. I don't get it. there were needle drops every 2 seconds, and the whole thing is like it's a fashion war, and it's like, oh, she's your mother. The Cruella is in your DNA. And I could go, oh my God. Like I think it broke me when I watched it and I like purged it from my mind. And it wasn't until we were talking about this that it came up again, and it like a repressed memory. I think I repressed it because it hurt, so the pain. And then you brought it back up. Thank you for that, you monster. But that was praised and people loved it. And this is the same thing. I agree with you. I don't know what people's standards are, because I saw so many people go like, well, what's the point of remaking it? You could just watch the original. Hey, dipshit, I've been saying that
since 2015.
I said that for The Lion King. I said that for Aladdin. I said, like, for every single one of these that people are like, I had fun. Yeah, the music. It was just like the original. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's just like the original. I don't get it. Like, I don't know. It's so fucking weird. But no, it looks terrible. But it looks terrible in the way everything Disney has made in recent memory has looked terrible. So I don't get it. I really fucking don't.
Ditto. Like that, as soon as I saw, like, I mean, yeah, I thought it was gonna at least attempt to do something just slightly different, just slightly, but that was giving it a little bit more faith.
They did change it. They made the kid British.
No.
Oi, I'm home alone. Sorry, I can't do accents. Me mum's out of town.
And not only that, but we have a KKK member in the movie as well.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah,
what?
Ellie Kemper. She's a KKK.
Oh, shut the fuck up with that stupid.
Oh my
shit.
God.
That was that was a controversy for an afternoon. Cause I don't know, what was she? She is in some Southern Belle competition. I don't know.
The Dixie competition?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
When she was a fucking teenager. I don't
For
know.
the something debutante thing.
But
that trailer...
I saw someone point this out, and again, it's like, I feel like when these people remake it, it's like they don't watch the film. Like they have ideas of what the film was, but they don't actually go back and watch it. And I saw someone point this out, like having Ellie Kemper and the other guy sort of just kind of be these bumbling idiots that aren't that imposing. And like, it's not as fun to watch them get hurt, and there isn't any sense of danger and understanding of why this kid is going so far.
Uh-huh.
With the original Wet Bandits, as a child, they're genuinely scary, right? Like if you pass these
Joe
guys on the
Pesci.
street,
Come on.
yeah, it's Joe fucking Pesci. If you pass these guys on the street as a child, they would scare you. The idea of these two breaking into your home alone is scary for a kid. So then when you finally get the tables turned and you're seeing them get fucked up, there's this like cathartic release to it as a kid. Here, I don't care that Ellie Kemper's breaking into my fucking house. Like, I don't like. But again, it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what they're remaking. Sorry, sequel to.
Yeah, it's everything they do bad, and I'm happy they're getting trashed for this, but also it all infuriates me because
Shared the trashing.
Yeah, there's a lot of trashing to go around when it comes to what Disney makes, and yet whenever it's about a Disney live action remake, it gets like overwhelmingly positive reviews for whatever reason. So there is that. Okay, really quick, Flash teaser and Peacemaker trailer. The Flash teaser, I didn't watch it because I don't care. And Peacemaker, I didn't see it because I don't care. So, what do you guys think?
I really liked Peacemaker. That I dug that shit.
You really don't care about Peacemaker, huh?
No.
It's a TV show.
I'll probably watch it when it comes on, but it's like I just didn't feel the need to see the trailer for it. I know it's James Gunn. I know it's John Cena. I honestly, I don't. It's because like Gunn did a really good job of making me hate that character. So the idea of that character having a TV show kind of doesn't make me want to see it or care about it all that much. So okay,
but an eagle hugs him.
An eagle hugs him. It's
who?
Eagle, a literal eagle, a bald eagle.
Oh, well.
Okay. The trailer looks really good. It looks really funny. It looks really fun. It does look smaller scale than I had assumed. Because it's maybe
as opposed to compared to what though? Like what scale were you thinking it would be like?
Well, I guess maybe I've just been spoiled with the Marvel.
A Disney Plus show.
Yes.
So what scale would it be? What other show would you compare it to? The Walking Dead? As far as budget?
Yeah. Maybe. I would maybe say around there. But no, it looks good. It looks fun. It looks funny. I'm there. It's James Gunn. I'm gonna be hard pressed to find myself not liking it. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. And I'll probably love it when I see it. So it's like, yeah.
The Flash was literally, it wasn't even a trailer. It was like
it's a teaser.
A teaser to the teaser. And it's basically just hinted at Michael Keaton Batman coming. And it's like, it's so fucking weird how this is the first Flash movie. And like most of it, the literal first footage that you show is going like, oh, Batman.
But you see, it's the same thing with Marvel, right? It's like how we feel with No Way Home. It doesn't even feel like a Spider-Man movie. It's just been hijacked to be a multiverse movie for the universe.
Go on. Sorry.
No, and I was gonna say with the Flash, like, oh yeah, I think I did see like images of it, and I'm like, well, this doesn't even seem like a Flash movie. It's just, I guess the Flash is in it, but it's just a time travel multiverse movie again.
Yeah, it's exactly what the No Way Home is doing, because like the thing is that he goes in and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go save my mom, and he goes in and he saves the mom and completely wrecks the timeline, and that's it. You know,
right?
And then
I know that from they do that in the comics. Obviously, they do that in the Flash TV show. Mm-hmm. I'm familiar with that storyline. I guess it's like, I know, and there's a lot to criticize with, and there will be in a minute with how Marvel has handled Spider-Man and whatever. But so we have a Flash movie that's not about Flash when they still haven't really set up this character, and he's been in. And he was only in, the Justice League movie, right?
Isn't it crazy how it parallels, though? Because the Flash was really set up in those movies as, like, the fucking Peter Parker character.
Was he? He was just in one movie, right? Am I... It was just a Justice League movie, right?
Unless you count the Justice League... Unless you count both the movies.
And Suicide
Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. I've technically watched 2 films with him in it, I guess. That was literally it.
He showed up in Suicide Squad, if that counts.
Oh, for like 2 seconds, that's right.
And he also had a cameo in BVS.
Yeah, he did.
And also he had a cameo in a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
The CW.
The CW, yeah. He did show up, so he's clearly invested. But it's so crazy the way it parallels, because at the exact same time, he's set up to be like the Peter Parker character. At the exact same time that you're going to get Spider-Man going to go home eventually, which is a multiverse story, you also get this the Flash movie, which is going to be a multiverse story.
And they both recently lost their mentor character, I guess you could say, with because I guess you can consider Batman the mentor to the Flash, even though they barely
alcoholism.
No, he lost him to Ana de Armas.
Oh God, that's a much deadlier substance.
It's okay. He's with J-Lo.
No, he's back with J-Lo.
That shit still blows my mind.
How Ben Affleck got his groove back.
Andy Muschietti, correct?
Yes.
that's directing this, who I believe last directed It Chapter 2. I wasn't crazy on It Chapter 2. I don't think it was bad. I mean, I don't think it was awful, but I
It
wasn't
wasn't
high.
great.
No, it wasn't. But what else did Muschietti do?
It Chapter 1, and then he did a horror movie.
No, I thought it was Fukunaga did It Chapter 1.
Really?
Joji Fukunaga, who just did No Time to Die, directed It Chapter 1.
No.
Well, Kyle, we'll check it up. He's looking it up for us right now. But I think
he was supposed to do It Chapter 1, but he didn't end up doing it.
No, Andy Muschietti.
Muschietti did it.
Yeah.
It Chapter
Carrie wrote the movie.
Oh,
he was supposed to write and direct, but
okay.
You know, in what do they call it when they get fired? Conflict,
creative differences.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so Andy Muschietti came in.
So the big three that he did was Mama, and the It movies.
Okay. Well, It Chapter 1 was really good. I really do like that.
Mama's
movie.
good too. I know none of you have seen it, but it's good.
This is coming out next year, right? The Flash thing?
I think so.
Okay, are you guys excited about Michael Keaton coming back? I kind of feel like it almost feels like the whole like Doc Ock situation coming back in No Way Home. It's like I love that character, but is it going to be the same version of that character? Are they?
I feel like it's not going to feel like him, right? Because that Batman exists very much in the Tim Burton world.
Yeah.
Yes.
The way it's shot, directed, the music, and to like pluck that and put it in a modern blockbuster, it won't feel the same. And I think that goes the same for the Raimi characters, where it's like, sure, it's the same actor and visually it looks the same, but it's not. It won't feel that way. So I don't know if I'm excited. I'll tell you, I'm less offended, or I guess I'm willing to roll with it more than Spider-Verse. Gonna go home. Like, I don't. That one just kind of annoys the fuck out of me. Here, it's like there's some things that it's like this is kind of funny or fun. Like they have Supergirl in there, a new character, and I'm like, cool. And I think
guess Grant Gustin's gonna make a cameo in the movie.
Oh,
right?
I bet he does. I don't know for sure, but I bet he does, and that's cute. That's fun.
Right.
There's another character in there that's like,
isn't Affleck in it?
Affleck's in it too, right? And
right,
I think that's kind of cool. He's probably gonna die. And what's his name? The actor. What's the actor's name again?
Ezra Miller
for Flash. Ezra Miller. There was another Ezra. If you look in the trailer, there's two Ezra Millers.
Yeah.
I think he's playing Reverse Flash.
I have no clue, but I was like, that's kind of funny. That he's related to people that look just like him. So I don't know. It feels like there's more off the wall shit going on with the Flash movie, whereas with the Spider-Man movie, I know exactly what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Okay. Before we get to the Spider-Man thing, real quick, do you guys any comments on Will Poulter playing Adam Warlock for Guardians 3? I kind of love this casting. This
Adam Warlock
really,
fan?
I don't know, not really. I'm it's just not what you would expect. But I guess the more I've had time to sit with it, the more I really do appreciate this out of left field, but kind of appropriate casting with this one.
You see, I don't know much about like Adam Warlock and all that stuff.
Well, I'm talking more about Will Poulter.
Let me get to it. Nevertheless, no Will Poulter's filmography beyond that, beyond the third entry of the Chronicles of Narnia movies. But other than that, I know nothing of his acting. However, I do trust James Gunn's process. So I'm like, okay, if you see something in this actor, then I trust your vision.
You didn't see Midsommar, did you, Kyle?
He did not.
Because Will Poulter's in that movie.
He did not go with us because it was not a Marvel film.
He gets his face ripped off.
Oh
nice.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I like Bill Poulter as an actor. I think he's cool. He's one of those where it's like when I heard it, I was like, I never would have thought of that. But I like it.
Yeah.
Especially with James Gunn, I'm like, okay, I see it. I never would have thought of it, but now that you mention it, okay.
I'm not sure he ever miscast anybody in his movies.
No, he's really good. He's really good at the casting.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the way he cast the Suicide Squad, I have no fears as far as casting goes when it comes to him. So, no, yeah, I'm all for it. I like the actor, like the material movie. It's win-win-wins.
All right, so let's get to some comments Tom Holland made last week in regards to the future of the Spider-Man franchise. Tom Holland casts doubt on whether he will return as Spider-Man. Teases he could be in different versions of the character. No Way Home marks Holland's third solo Spidey appearance, and story-wise, the actor calls it a conclusion to his trilogy, wrapping up the narrative he and Watts first introduced in 2017's Homecoming. He says, "We were all treating No Way Home as the end of a franchise, let's say. I think if we were lucky enough to dive into these characters again, you'd be seeing a very different version. It would no longer be the Homecoming trilogy. We would give it some time and try to build something different and tonally change the films. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But we were definitely treating No Way Home like it was coming to an end, and it felt like that." A couple of things before we get into this conversation. A few weeks back, Peter basically spoiled everything for what's going to happen in No Way Home in terms of leaks. I don't think... Did you listen to that, Kyle?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so it's fine if Peter discusses those leaks in this discussion.
I literally don't give a shit.
Okay, great. So for those listening, this could be a part of the podcast you may want to skip if you'd want to keep, things spoiler free. When we get to that stuff, because I think, the only thing about what's relevant with the leaks is I don't think there's been any kind of indication that as to what the future of the Spidey movies in the MCU, if there's a future, what that would be. They're not indicated anywhere in the leaks. They're just basically all about plot, and that's it, if I'm not mistaken. The story of these Spider-Man movies really does encapsulate the story of like where I am with the MCU, where it's like I really like Spider-Man as a character. I actually like Tom Holland's interpretation of the character, and he's very likable. But at the end of the day, when you put all three of these movies together in terms of what we're going to get, it often feels like a lot of his best stories were just not considered or just sidelined to partake in the larger gimmick that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And a lot of the interesting storylines that could have been with these three films of trilogy often felt like they couldn't be bothered to do any of that because we have a lot of fun stuff to get to, a lot of the confetti, if you will, and not so much the substance to it. They're fun movies. I really like Homecoming. I think Far From Home is an entertaining film, definitely. A lot more entertaining than a lot of MCU movies. But I just think it's kind of pathetic, Tom Holland calling this the end of a franchise. Because it's kind of a franchise that to me didn't really get an actual start. I mean, yeah, it had a solid starting when it came to Homecoming, but then it just kind of petered off into something that really didn't feel as if it didn't want to flesh out anything interesting or just say anything interesting with these characters above than, oh, we're in the MCU and we get to play with all of the toy box that belongs to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's laughable to say this is the end of a trilogy when you can't really call this a trilogy. You can't call any Marvel trilogy a trilogy, but especially this, where like these installments they feel less like films and they feel more like, I don't know, extended episodes of a Spider-Man series, because that's just what it is. It's yeah. That's where I am.
I don't mean to deter the conversation because this is very interesting, but Eternals reviews are flowing in as we speak, and I just wanted to share this one because I know it would put a smile on your guys' faces. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Eternals is Marvel's version of Zack Snyder's Justice League, a film that builds upon a cast of unknown characters and does so with great success. Chloe Zhao's direction is superb, easily one of the best looking Marvel films of all time. And then something about the post-credit scene, I don't care. I thought that was just funny, so I shared.
I've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I agree it is his pure, unadulterated, and uncorrupted vision. That being said, it is still among the worst comic book movies I've ever seen, and still easily one of the worst movies I've seen this year. So,
You saw Halloween Kills.
I reject that. Well, hold on, we'll get to that. I reject that comparison entirely.
As far as Peter Parker leaving the MCU, we'll see what they do. We know that they're liars, right? Like, they're massive fucking liars. They lied their asses off before Infinity War, and they lied their asses off during Endgame. So it's like, and they try to misdirect. So who in reality, who fucking knows? But you also, what's different with Spider-Man is you have his whole thing where he's tied up with Sony, and you never know if Sony's like, okay, we did the trilogy, now we're taking him back. I don't know. Like, you've made this character so big and important now. Fine, now we're taking it and we're gonna try and build our own thing. Now that you've built it up for us, thank you very much. You don't know. But if it is the last of them, I don't know. Sayonara.
You could care. I guess you couldn't give a fuck, could you? At this point,
I'm not. I don't know. They've never been my favorite. They're okay.
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
I mean, if it's looking like that's kind of what he's saying through these comments, right? It's like, this is it. We're done with the MCU. Kyle, do you think so?
Here's the thing. I want this Spider-Man to leave, and I don't want him to leave, because I want, like, just one solid, good Spider-Man movie. Not to say that Homecoming wasn't, good. It was, but it
wasn't great.
But it's not a Spider-Man movie. It's more of a counterpart of the MCU. Another brick in the wall. As Pink Floyd.
Yeah. As
Pink Floyd would like to state. So I just want one solid Spider, because I like Tom Holland. I really do. I think that, he's, in terms of like his performance as Peter Parker, I really love, it's just the movies that he's around isn't, isn't good, and like the moments that I do love,
it's just not about him.
Yeah.
All the stuff that's he's around, it's never about him, and he's just used, I guess he's just used. Look, like Peter said, I don't know if we're technically speaking in better hands if Sony decides to do more more Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Of course they'll do Spider-Man movies, but let's say they do a 4, 5, and 6, but in their Sony-verse. I don't know if necessarily they're like the most competent filmmakers or people to do it, because we've seen what they've produced before, which is why they were in such a embarrassing state of things where they had to go collaborate with Marvel in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't know if it's any worse than having more Tom Holland movies with Kevin Feige at the helm of it, because, like, I'm sorry, I'm just like, No Way Home is not even about Spider-Man. It's just another thing with this multiverse gimmick. And I'm like, I kind of don't care what Kevin Feige has to say anymore when it comes to Spider-Man. If this is the best you can do for like an actual movie. So I'm at the point where I'm ready to roll the dice and see what Sony has to offer. Because, I mean, if I'm Emmy Pascal, all I got to do is call up my boys Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and you know what? Might have a good film on here. You know, they didn't direct Into the Spider-Verse. They didn't direct it. They wrote and they produced it.
Hold. Let's camp out right here for a second. Oh my God, Tom Holland, a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie with Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
It kind of writes itself.
Damn.
Yeah.
And they do high school so well, you know, especially with the Jump Street.
They do anything so well.
Thanks. Now I got false hopes.
Well, I don't know how false it would be, because I still think it seems like at this moment, if I were to put money on it, I think Tom Holland's days in the MCU are done, because look at the title of the movie, No Way Home. You could theorize he gets trapped in the Sonyverse at the end of the movie, and that's it.
No Way Home or No Time to Die, huh?
No Time to Die. We discussed this last week about its box office and how we were kind of collectively pushing back on the whole doom and gloom narrative as to like how evidently it underperformed. It really didn't all that much as far as its domestic debut in the States here in the domestic box office. Well, and I don't know. I kind of feel it's not being given its due, considering that it's like, this is a franchise that has been around since the 60s, roughly speaking. It's got 25 entries in it. It can very much follow as a formula throughout the decades and everything. And yet, where we stand right now, worldwide, No Time to Die has grossed over $450 million, and not only has passed Black Widow, but has also passed Shang-Chi at the worldwide box office. That's 2 Marvel movies. The 2 Marvel movies that have been out this year have been surpassed by James Bond. I feel that's a pretty big deal, on top of the fact that you have, you know, resident box office expert Scott Mendelson from Forbes saying that in some places, No Time to Die has more legs than Skyfall did. And there's a real possibility where No Time to Die could top out at around $700 million worldwide, which for that in a pandemic, that would be just about matching what F9 did, which so far has been, I think, the highest performing commercial movie in the pandemic era. And I don't know, but that's kind of a win in my book. I know some outlets were saying that, you know, No Time to Die would only be profitable if it got close to 800 million, without saying the fact that no movie in the pandemic, most movies, I should say no big budget movie in the pandemic has been profitable. Maybe some like low rated or low budget horror movies or some like smaller budgets here and there, maybe they've been somewhat profitable. But the rule of thumb is if you got a big blockbuster budget, you're not making a profit one way or the other in a pandemic. You're just not, for the most part. Mm-hmm. I think the most you can do, to me, reaching $700 million worldwide in the pandemic era is just about the equivalent of getting to $1 billion. Am I wrong? What do you guys think? I know Peter is like reading Eternals reviews right now.
Oh yeah, I was looking up all of them.
I want to go on my phone and look at those right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really weird that people are like, it bombed. It didn't. Like, it's making good money. Like, again, people are they need a headline. They need a flashy headline. So either it bombed or it broke the box office with how much money it made. It didn't do either. It made good money. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. So, yeah.
Like Elliot Carver says in the movie Tomorrow Never Dies, starring Jonathan Pryce and Pierce Brosnan, there's no news like bad news. And that's just what these headlines are, you know, doing. There's no news like bad news. Bad news sells. You know, good news doesn't. And so here we have it. No Time to Die is making some bank, some considerable bank. You know, is it making, you know, Spectre, or is it making other numbers? No, you know, obviously not. But the fact that it's like competing, wonderfully, I think is an amazing feat in itself.
I think it still shows a lot of interest for this franchise, which is a major feat in and of itself, considering how old it is and promising for what could happen in the future. I did notice, Kyle, you paid somebody on Screen Rant to run your piece of Denis Villeneuve doing a James Bond movie.
Oh yes, I'm getting that ball rolling immediately. God, I want him to do a Bond movie. At first, since I saw Sicario, I'm like, okay, this is.
It's the same for me with Batman. I have seen serious Bond. Okay? I've seen grounded, gritty Bond. I do not need more grounded, gritty, in which it would be if it was fucking Vanille. So, give it to someone, not him.
Who would you give it to, Peter?
Anyone else.
George Lucas?
Yes. J.J. Abrams.
Okay.
Unironically.
Why must you hurt me, Peter?
The man can do action. You don't think he'd have fun one-liners?
Halloween Kills debuted to $50 million at the domestic box office. Already making up its entire budget because, of course, it doesn't cost that much to make a Halloween movie. Not in the slightest. Think of what, 20 million, 25 million at that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? Like, I guess for me, people were kind of like whatever about it still, but I guess with No Time to Die and with Halloween Kills, what I'm going to take away from this is that these are two properties that are not comic book related, that are not Marvel related, that have now opened above 50 million. And I'm just going to take that as a sign of progress, considering where we were when the Suicide Squad opened to like half of this, half of what Halloween
Kills. It seems like
Kills
we're going around in circles about, all this progress. So one can say that it's a carousel of progress.
Any thoughts about this, Peter?
No.
Okay. Last thing. WB. They've made a seemingly baffling decision to put Dune, which we will all be. Hopefully, I'm hoping we're all gonna go. I know Peter and I are gonna go this Friday.
Kyle, are you able to? I know there's no Disney logo before.
Yes, I want to. I definitely want to have the big screen experience with Dune.
Oh,
okay. Because you
sure?
kind of ditched us to see Halloween on Peacock.
Yeah. You thought we wouldn't know, would you? You dumb bitch.
The baffling decision is that Dune is going to be available on HBO Max, not at the same time it debuts in theaters, but a whole day before it debuts in theaters. And I couldn't believe the headline when I read it.
It's doing the Thursday night opening. I think it opens like Thursday not opens, but it's available to watch like Thursday at 6:00.
Right, the
like
midnight screenings, the previews.
Yeah, it's fucking, oh my god. Like, this feels like it was a producer situation. Like, they made Dune specifically to lose money. But now that it's getting hype and it has a chance of making money, they're trying to come up with ways to make sure that it loses money. They're like, we can't make any money.
There needs to be numbers like Springtime for Hitler in there, and
yeah,
and all this stuff.
Springtime for Harkonnens.
Okay, so like, I don't like this decision, and given that it's a stupid ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
I mean, yeah. I'm going to be in line at the theater at that time, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed at this point. I don't know. There's nothing else I can do.
Do we want to dare throw out some predictions? No.
I'm not tempting fate in any way.
Okay. Because we genuinely want this movie to do well.
Yes.
It
And
needs to do well.
I want to stress, because I usually give zero shits about box office, although I always hope that good films do well and, bad films, I don't want a film to fail. So I'll just say I want good films to do well.
Mhm.
And by good films, the films I like. But this is a special case, as I have said a million times, because the only way we get a sequel, which from what everyone's saying, the actual second half of this one fucking 5-hour film, the only way we get it is if it does well. So
it's like being obsessed with the TV show, looking at the ratings week to week and hoping it gets renewed, even though the storyline could be cut off at the knees.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't consider
It's
myself
exactly the same
that
thing.
insane.
It's
but
exactly the same thing.
I would,
So with that being said, let's get into our review of Halloween Kills 2021 here. Brief recap for all of us with this franchise. It is a long-standing franchise. There are 12 movies in this series where Michael Myers goes and kills people. I've only seen 2, well, actually 3 now, but I've only seen, up until this point, the original 1978 film by John Carpenter, and then, of course, the 2018 sequel of the same name, weirdly enough, by David Gordon Green.
I mean, Halloween 2.0 was already taken.
Yeah.
H2O,
and
sorry.
Oh, that's right. There's one called H2O. And I really enjoyed both of those movies. And I thought, like, to me, Halloween and then the 2018 Halloween were great companion pieces. And so that's just about all the prior exposure I've had with Halloween. Kyle.
Halloween was my first horror movie. So
I don't believe it.
So I love it. I saw it on AMC when, they do like that instead of like all day Christmas Story on Christmas.
All day Halloween.
They do all day Halloween and all that stuff. So I was like, when I saw that movie captured, like I was like, oh, horror movies don't frighten me the way that that they do, and so I was like, okay, so this is if there was ever to be like an entry level horror movie, I would definitely point out to Halloween. So just a pro tip in case anybody wants to dive into this genre. But yeah, Halloween I think is amazing. I love Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie, and I like that one. I saw the second one. I've
Halloween 2.
I've seen Halloween 2. I've seen part 1 of Rob Zombie's movies, and then I saw Halloween 2018. And that's pretty much like everything. I haven't seen the one. Remind me, Peter, which one was had Busta Rhymes in it?
Ooh, Halloween Resurrection. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Is that okay? And then wasn't Paul Rudd in one of those?
Yes, he was in, I think, Halloween 4, or it's either Return of Michael Myers or Halloween 5. The Curse of Michael Myers, or maybe he's in both. I'm having trouble remembering.
There's one image of like one of those movies where like this I think he's an imposter. Like he's wearing like a green jumpsuit instead of like the blue, and like the Michael Myers has blonde hair. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, so like I know of this franchise. I know little increments of this and all that stuff, but like going into it and just seeing Jamie Lee Curtis again, and also like Halloween 2018 was a fucking great movie. I loved it. I loved every ounce of that movie, and and just hearing John Carpenter's infectious score go on, and it was easily one of the best scores of that year, and honestly one of the best movies of that year as well. So I don't know. I really like it, and
I mean, I've seen them all, I guess. And yeah, during Halloween, I'd always watch AMC because they always had all the fucking slashers and all those old horror films. they have. I think at one point they would have the black, like Sci-Fi and AMC would always have them, and they'd have like the black and white ones, like the Creature Black Lagoon and all those. But they, you'd also see Halloween all the time. It's like they play that the same way they play It's a Wonderful Life at Christmas, right?
Right.
It's just nonstop. Or the way
'tis the season.
The way fucking Freeform plays Hocus Pocus. It's just constant. So yeah, I grew up watching all the sequels, and before I actually sat down and like watched the movies, not just got bits and pieces growing up, it was all a jumbled mess, right? And it wasn't until I actually sat down like, okay, I'm gonna watch the Halloween movies. Then I was able to like pull together like, okay, these go here, those go there. And if you look at the timelines for all the films, it's a fucking mess. But it's yeah, I was able to sort of piece them all together, and yeah, I love them. I always talk about how I love horror franchises, because horror franchises are always, you have the first one that's really good, and the one that I like unironically, and then you have a string of crap that is so much fun to watch, because you see how they didn't have any idea past the first one, but they need 9 more sequels, so it just goes off the rails, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
So the rest of the Child's Play franchise means nothing to you?
I mean, you do get explicit doll sex in, I believe, the Bride
of Chucky.
Of Chucky. And then the Seed of Chucky.
Oh my god, the Seed of Chucky.
Which was maybe progressive, because they had
a non-binary
child that they directly addressed within the film. The Chucky franchise is fucking crazy.
But what's more progressive than the pig and frog baby that Piggy and Kermit had in that sequence in Muppets Most Wanted?
I mean, what?
Exactly. What is more progressive than that?
I feel like I haven't seen that film now, because I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
It was a quick, vision that Miss Piggy had.
Oh my god! Now that does sound like horror. Oof.
So now to the movie at hand, okay. And the
I've
synopsis.
been eagerly awaiting to brought to you by Letterboxd. Type in Fantasy Fair sucks 10 to get 10% off your Letterboxd subscription. Or okay.
Eat my ass.
I will not. Halloween Kills, directed by David Gordon Green. Evil dies tonight. Oh, I knew you were gonna love it. I knew
Damn it! I forgot about that.
The nightmare isn't over as unstoppable killer Michael Myers escapes from Laurie Strode's trap to continue his ritual blood path. Injured and taken to the hospital, Laurie fights through the pain as she inspires residents of Haddonfield, Illinois, to rise up against Myers. Taking matters into their own hands, the Strode women and other survivors form a vigilante mob to hunt down Michael and end his reign of terror once and for all.
So to reiterate, Peter and I saw this as it was meant to be seen in the theater with a crowd on a Saturday night. It was a party.
By the way,
got their
you know how I know that was the way it was meant to be seen? Because I got several commercials before the film started to let me know that was the way it was meant to be seen.
Exactly. Kyle opted to see this on Peacock at home, streaming it with Jake.
Underrated Katy Perry song, I might add.
So Kyle, I'm curious to hear your experience with the movie.
Okay, so
oh shit,
I thought that these two guys already went to go see the movie already, and so
he's lying.
And so I got home, I got home late and my brother was there and I was just like, you know what? It's too late to go, go out. So I was like, okay, well,
Convenient.
the movie is readily available on Peacock. And so me and my brother, turned off the lights and got spookified with watching it like how I watched the first one on TV. So
Did you hold each other?
No. Anyway, so I think that, so I saw it like that and we had tacos and it was a good time. Good time in.
Martin Scorsese would be ashamed of you.
So Peter and you saw it in the theater. What did you make of this is easily the most packed the theater's been, right?
Very packed. Very, very packed crowd. Tons of kids. And when I say kids, I don't even mean fucking teenagers. I mean kids.
Yeah.
Children. I don't. Okay, I guess. I guess I'm the only person that grew up with strict parents.
It seems that way. Did you find the crowd I don't know, annoying at points?
Not nearly as much as I thought they would be. There was a couple teenagers in the back that I just giggled the entire time. And it clearly wasn't about the movie. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. It wasn't my business.
They were ticking and talking.
They just giggling and back and forth. But other than that, it wasn't really that.
Yeah, I mean,
annoying.
Generally, I haven't really been enraged in a theater in a long time. Not since COVID happened. I think easily the worst thing that you and I got stuck with was when we saw A Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh,
we couldn't
God.
Hear the movie. That was bad. What do you make of people walking in late into the movie? The movie has already started and people have they have their concessions in one hand and they have their phones and their flashlights on and they're trying to find where their seats are. Do you genuinely find that a distraction or do you just kind of roll with it?
I roll with it. I get it.
It's understandable.
You just got here, but you wanted your concessions, and those took a little long. And it's fucking dark, and you don't remember which seat you're at. Whatever. I mean, it's a little annoying, but it's not what the fuck are you doing? Getting all pissed. It's oh, okay,
right.
Your seat's right there, whatever. It's not that big a deal.
Okay. Kyle, do you want to go first?
I am very conflicted with this movie because there's a lot of elements that I really enjoy. There's character moments that I really like, and there's particularly two people that I'm rooting for. In this movie that we clearly didn't get enough of. But anyway, I think that this movie. But here's the thing. I'm saving a lot of harsh criticism until I see Halloween Ends, because this is clearly meant to be a 3-part thing, and so I can't.
The Empire Strikes Back, if you will.
Yeah, basically, a lot of baffling choices and all that stuff. Because the thing is that Halloween 2018 slaps so fucking hard that I was expecting a lot out of this movie, and I was just okay, let's get it, and all that stuff, and the elements that I really liked were hardly in this movie, in the 2018 film. So we have all that stuff. That being said, I did have fun with it, regardless of what what I thought of the movie at large. I love all the kills. I honestly all the brutality is just amazing. Just chef's kiss. I like some of the elements. I like how there's one flashback scene that is filmed reminiscent the other other movies, and I love those elements all together. And also hearing John Carpenter's, scoring is also another bonus. So, yeah. Peter?
Okay. When we got out of the theater, I think the first thing I told you, Alexis, was this was the first Halloween movie I'd seen where I understood him.
Yeah.
That's not a compliment. He was the goddamn hero. I wanted everyone in this movie to fucking die. And I was glad when they did. If there was one thing Michael did wrong, it's that he didn't kill enough of them. I hated these. Like, these are just the most unlikable people on the face of the fucking earth. And the next thing I said was, did Zack Snyder write this? Because every piece of dialogue is literally like, in the same way, like in Batman v Superman, everything's like the dialogue is so lofty and like, oh, but what is a god? That's a demon. You're just a man.
The red capes are coming.
And like every line of dialogue in this fucking movie was like, 40 years ago, evil was born. We must put down evil for there to be good. Evil bad, evil very bad. Like, that's every line of dialogue. And then
I'm going to kill him.
I'm the one that has to kill him. There's I fucking counted 3 separate people said Michael's gonna die and I'm gonna be the one to kill him. None of them were the ones to kill him. Evil dies tonight. Like, they tried so hard to make that, like, I don't know if they're trying to sell t-shirts. I don't know what the fuck that was. Just randomly people would just be like, evil dies tonight. Like, you know what it would remind me of? Like, in fucking biopics, when they would like do songs and like it's like oh, the singer went to the zoo and the zookeeper was like, be quiet, the lion sleeps tonight. And then they're like, the lion sleeps tonight, huh? Right? Like, that's the way it felt with like the evil dies tonight, because before they started chanting it, like, people would be like, remember, evil dies tonight, and then it became a fucking thing, and then all these people did was act stupidly and get themselves killed and then kill innocent people, and then they die. And I'm just like, Michael, I get it. I get it. Like, there's several scenes throughout the film where they try to like talk about the psychology of Michael, like, who knows why he kills? I know why he kills. That's a shit ass town. If I was Michael, I would have killed everyone in that town too. I'm sorry. Fuck these people. Okay.
It probably would have been more effective to introduce a vampire into the town. Midnight
that would have
Mass,
worked.
Or Salem's Lot. Is that what the Stephen King thing is called?
Yes, Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot.
This was not a good film. It was funny, unintentionally, in a lot of ways. And again, this is what I mean when I'm like, I will always love the original Halloween, and Halloween 2, the original one, Halloween 2, is pretty good as well. And then Halloween 3 is its entirely own film that's actually really good, that there's a few nods to in this film. But past that, it's just kind of, there's cool things in all the films, but they're mostly they're crap films. And it's fun to see how much they devolve into crap. It was definitely, I guess you could say, fun to see a lot of the things that they end up doing in this film. Yeah, I don't know. You, Alexis?
I think you put it perfectly when you said, and I quote, I don't know what the fuck that was. I haven't seen any of those. crap movies in the Halloween franchise. So this to me was, look, I don't think I was asking for much. I think where the film really is exceptional is, of course, the gore, the kills. And I think most people come to a movie like that for that particular reason. And I think that's going to leave most people satisfied. Like, you could make an argument this was like the goriest Halloween movie. This is the most like gory that Michael Myers has ever been. And if that's all you want, I think you'll be more than happy. I think it over delivers on that. Now, as far as everything else is concerned, I was just, caught in a state of complete bewilderment for much of the first half of the movie. Like the first act of the movie, I was low-key panicking because I was like, what is
There's no
going
main
on?
character.
What is this? Like, what are they doing? It's like a series of we jump back and forth through flashbacks, and they cut, and the pacing is so well off, and then we cut to a bar with a random group of nobodies, and you're watching that happen, and the whole time you're wondering to yourself, did I walk into the wrong movie? Where's Michael Myers? Where's Laurie Strode? Why are we 25 minutes into this, and here we have Anthony Hall, Michael Hall, and Longstreet here, and who are these people?
You would think,
and
sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
You would think that the cold open for No Time to Die was long.
But this wasn't a cold open. This is the official first act, and I'm at that point. I'm like, wait a minute, something is seriously off, almost off the bat here, and that's just pacing, and that's just where we're focusing on. That's not even to mention the execution of other faculties of the film already at that level. But I think it was the moment where, okay, we had cut to Laurie, they had gone to the hospital, and I think this is after Michael had emerged from his first scene. And then we cut back to these people in the bar. And I think then we see them go to the hospital. And that's the point where I thought to myself, oh dear God, this is the fucking movie, isn't it? This is going to be insufferable. These are probably the most insufferable group of people I've seen in a movie, maybe ever. Obviously, the worst in a very long time. I think I visibly just groaned, and I think Peter caught that when this random couple, I think they were dressed as a nurse and a doctor, just hey guys, let's go, and we're gonna go save the town together, and I'm like, what am I watching here?
Why would this couple join a gang of people that are let's go find and kill this guy? It's okay, but
let me hold on. Let me just wrapping up my thoughts on this. This is the worst movie of the year. There were parts of this where I was looking off to the side, or I was looking at the floor, because I could not believe the stupidity that was happening on the screen. I felt embarrassed being there, and I felt no, seriously, and I felt people around me feeling kind of the same way about there were, I think, people behind us who were commenting on how stupid and dumb a lot of the stuff on display was, and I just, what was that?
Alexis, you don't understand. Evil dies tonight.
Honestly, I felt the same way fucking too. I mean, I found myself thank God I didn't go with you guys, because you would have embarrassed twice, because I was yelling at the screen, completely pissed with character, thing. So thank God I didn't go with you guys.
Which one? Every character
everybody
in this film does the stupidest fucking things, and I hate every fucking. Every decision they make is the stupidest decision when they're in that situation. And again, the writing in this film is god awful. I don't know who the fuck wrote this, but it's some of the worst writing.
Somebody got paid for writing this.
You know what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to tell you something shocking, gents. It's the same people who wrote the first one.
Okay, were they given like 2 hours? I don't.
To write it, you mean?
Yeah. This film spends the whole runtime sucking the dick of the original movie, while also kind of like not understanding it at all and kind of like shitting on it, because it's so constantly like, I was there 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I was there. And like,
every character in this movie says that line. I was there that night 40 years ago. And it does this thing that a lot of movies do in long-standing franchises where they have to reference back to the original. But here, you're introduced a new face, but it turns out, oh, wait, they were there. It's like that thing Star Wars does, where like this character was there at the Battle of Endor, or that character was there at the Battle of
every
this
single
and
one of you were there 40 years ago, it's not fucking special. Like, just shut the fuck up. You're not a special little snowflake. Yeah, because you were one of apparently 500 people that wasn't murdered that night. I don't fucking know.
However, one of my favorite elements of this movie, okay, is like,
okay, tell me,
the way that they made it look like it was filmed in the 70s.
The effect of it was well done.
Lupin looked great.
Yeah.
Dr. Lupin. Lupin or Lupus?
Yes. Dr.
Loomis.
Lupus
is a disease.
That is a disease, like this film.
Oh my god.
The effect of it was really cool. I wish there was a point to it. There is a long ass flashback just to show us how our main
Officer Hawkins
is a dumb fuck. And he killed. And I think I told you, I was like, at points this felt like a parody of Halloween films.
Yeah.
Because I said, if I was going to write a parody film of Halloween films, the first scene I would do is Michael Myers showing up and these idiots killing themselves before Michael Myers can even kill anyone, which is exactly what happens in the very beginning. And I thought, like, oh my god, like, this is okay. I was like, this is kind of stupid, but clearly this is gonna have like a lot of weight, and this is gonna, like, I thought like Officer Hawkins was gonna become this huge part of the film, because the first thing you see in the film is him going like, Michael Myers is gonna die tonight, and I'm gonna be the one to kill him. And then you flash back and you see he was there that night, and I'm like, oh my god, like, okay, so like a lot of weight is put on this character. After what happens to that character after that? Not a goddamn thing. They take him to the hospital and that's it. He never leaves his room again.
And neither does Laurie.
What was the point? What was the point of that flashback? I don't understand. What was the point?
What was the point of this movie? Like, the main characters are basically sidelined. Laurie is not even in the movie, really. She's just like, I feel like, was she there for a day of shooting and like on the hospital bed?
I don't know. Did they have leftover footage from the first film and just use that? But like, when I talk about how like they suck the dick of the original movie and then shit on it at the same time, it's like look, it's that nurse from the first movie. It's literally the actress from the first. Oh, here's the boy from the first movie, and they keep going like, oh my god. And then what does that nurse do? She dies in one of the funniest fucking ways possible. And I was like, and by the time she died, I was like, good. She fired, and of course they have to recreate the scene from the first movie where Michael jumped on the car while they were driving, and they did the same thing here. And she's shooting at the windows, and then at the end she's all cocky and she's like, "This is for Dr. Loomis." Why is it for Dr. Loomis?
Oh my god, I remember, I forgot, I blocked that out, but I remember when she said that, the audience erupted in laughter. I think it wasn't just you and me, there was laughter coming out of people, because like, what the fuck did that come from? This is for what?
Wait, to my knowledge, Michael never even killed Dr. Loomis. He probably retired and lived a nice long life. Like where you and
They say
Dr.
that in the
Loomis
last movie.
friends? Like, you didn't know each other in the first film. He was just giving you a ride. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is for Dr. Loomis. This is so... And the fact that these people, like, devote their lives to, like, worshiping the night that they almost died is really fucking weird.
It's sad.
It like, you kind of get it for Lori, because, like, she lost all of her friends, and he specifically targeted her, and like, you kind of get that, right? Like, that's traumatizing. But for everyone else, it's like, why does everyone obsess over this? It's really weird.
Also, wasn't like in Halloween 2018, wasn't like Laurie treated as a pariah because she was so obsessed with this, and yet here we are in Halloween Kills, and it turns out she wasn't alone.
The whole town is obsessed with it. Yeah, I fuck if I know. I don't know.
Which, I mean, like, in the 2018 movie, I mean, everybody was like, it's okay, it happened a long time ago.
Get over it.
We have everybody in town was like, we have nothing to fear.
Yeah, and here, it's like, people won't shut up about, like, they worship, like, again, it's sort of the Star Warsification of this. You know how, like, in the new films, it's like, oh my god, like, such reverence and worship of those original films, that original story, and you have that here, but it's over murders, and it's so fucking weird. I don't know, within the film it's weird, and by within the film I mean specifically these characters, and every character just makes the stupidest fucking decisions. Like, what's his name, Longstreet?
Yes.
Who I was happy to see because I like him as an actor.
Longstreet's the guy, Kyle, he was in Dr. Sleep, Haunting of Hill House.
He wouldn't know him because he
Midnight
hasn't
Mass.
seen anything good he's been in.
He's a great character actor.
Mm-hmm. He's
in horror, especially.
He's the father of the boyfriend.
Okay.
The boyfriend's father.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him. I was like, oh, fucking neat. Like, he's in there. Is he going to do anything? Nope. Not only that, he's a fucking moron like everyone else. Why did he bring his young son and his girlfriend out to hunt a serial killer? And it isn't until he's literally in front of Michael Myers' house that he kind of comments like, what the fuck did I do? I brought my kid straight to the lion's den, you know, and it's like, yeah. And then what ends up happening, he dies, and then his son dies violently. I don't know. I just hate these people. It's also like a really cynical film, but it's a cynical film that has nothing to say.
Yeah.
They tried it. Like, the thing is that they try to say something about, like, mob mentality.
Do they?
Wait, do they though? Like, that's the thing, like, the mob mentality thing is there, and it's a big thing, but just because it's a big part of the movie, does that necessarily mean they were trying to say something? Because if they were, I don't think they didn't say anything. In fact, I think it said more about the people of the town, and that really, I don't think, helped the movie any bit. It just made it even worse, I feel. At least the people were made far more insufferable through it. So I don't know what purpose that served beside evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight. Like, that whole section where the hospital goes crazy and they literally push an asylum patient to commit suicide, it has no bearing on the film at all. Like, you could remove that entire section and nothing about the film would change. But it feels like it's trying to say something, but it says, is it mob bad? Because the very next scene, they're saying, we need to get a mob together and we need to kick his ass. And it's viewed as this heroic, triumphant thing. I don't know what the fuck they're saying.
What was that scene though?
I don't know what it was.
Everyone in the hospital is chasing after just this patient, and then you said you wanted to laugh when you saw that happen.
When the patient died, I just laughed because I'm like, fuck this town, fuck these people. I don't know what the point of this is. like it really does feel like the movie is telling me Michael Myers is the hero. It ends that way with him staring like he got his Thanos ending, where he got to sit back and look at the work he did.
Thanos will return.
Yes, Michael Myers will return.
Yeah, but like the thing is that like with that, with that psych patient, that escaped and all that stuff, and everybody was after him. You could have easily like made like this thing about like empathy and all that stuff.
Sure.
You could have easily went that route, but no, he just turned into a crushed jar of maraschino cherries. I mean, that's it.
Did anybody else find it strange? I thought it was hilarious, comical the way it was shot, but as the guy is like jumping off,
evil dies tonight.
Well, not that, but the guy jumps off the building, and then the crowd sees not just that, they see the lead up to that. They see him jump, and I thought it was comical the way it was shot. I have to stress this. They see like it cuts to the crowd, and they're looking up, and they're seeing him coming, and they slowly they're in a circle. They form a circle as they slowly back away, and then just let the body fall and turn into mush. And I'm like, wouldn't somebody be trying to get something to save him? Or, you have a mob out there. Could you do, I don't know, maybe collectively together keep his body from exploding?
I mean, there's the paramedic, trucks that were out there. They have gurneys. The fire department was there. They have stuff for falling victims from burning buildings. I mean, they have all this stuff, but instead they're just like, oh, whoops. Okay, back to business
Literally,
as usual.
It felt like they just let that happen, and nobody gave a shit about it.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily said something about and all that stuff. You could have literally stopped the mob in its tracks, and like the mob would be like, okay, we're we have taken this a little too far and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Karen and her daughter or whatever, are pointing out, like saying, hey, the monster is still on the loose and, and all that stuff. And you could have had a more intimate thing like you did in the first one and had a more intimate fight with Michael and, and the Strode family, and like, I don't understand, like, again, like, the in quotations, the message that they were trying to put together, like they have no equal bearings because of that, because they were trying to say something, trying to like speak up about this whole thing. But it just like it becomes muddied by the fact that, number one, your characters are unlikable, so you can't, especially with Anthony Michael Hall giving like these like big old giant like MAGA vibes.
Well, his whole character is like everyone's a psychopath.
They really are.
His like, oh, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna like Michael, whatever the fuck. But everyone's like that. They just jump to like, yeah, let's run him down, let's kill him, let's do this, without any thought to it at all.
Yeah,
they just all come off like stupid and crazy, and you say like, I agree. You could have said something with like mob mentality. I think I threw out the fact that like the original Halloween is about evil creeping into what is supposed to be our comfort safe zone, suburbia, right? And I think if you want to talk about that, like you could talk about, and it's still cynical, but cynical with a point, the way like that sort of suburbia is a lie that we tell ourselves. We're we're prim and we're proper, but the second that and someone like Michael Myers kind of reveals that through the fear and paranoia that he creates, and all these people that were good homely townsfolks are all of a sudden killing each other and turning each other out of fear. Like, okay, like that's saying something, right? Yeah. But they didn't do that. There's a million things in this film where they start and I'm like, oh, is this gonna go anywhere? No, it doesn't, right? Like, you have the Lori, which goes nowhere. She's just kind of there.
Like 2018.
Her daughter,
Which by the
her
way,
granddaughter.
which by the sorry, which
go ahead.
which by the way, like Karen really fumbled the ball by getting everybody killed by basically handing what's his name, Michael, a weapon. I mean, like, she fucked those people over. I mean, they were fucked to begin with, but like just that little thing. Like in 2018, they, PTSD, trauma and all that stuff was a huge part of that movie, and
well, you had a main character and you had an understanding of what was going on and why it was going on. Here, you don't have a main character. You let me go back and like run down the number of characters. You had Lori, you had her daughter, her granddaughter, which I don't know what they were trying to do with their characters necessarily, because they give them several different things to do. The boyfriend's father. You have Michael C. Hall and the mob. The returning characters from the original film that seem like they returned just to die. Plus the nurse people. Then you have people that are introduced and then they're just killed, like the older biracial couple, and then the gay couple. Are
Big John and Little John. I wanted so much more from that because that was so interesting.
But they just introduced and then they die. Like there's a formula you could see that's just created. And then you had like the cop from the original movie that he shows up because I don't know. There's just so much. You have flashbacks that are pointless. There's a million things going on in the film and none of it feels relevant. And then it just ends.
There was I think, speaking of Big John and Little John, one of the other lines that was just like bad, but then also like because how bad it was just funny. His husband was just killed, and Michael was just standing there. They're in Michael's childhood home, and the guy had ample opportunity to just get the fuck out of there, and he just stands there, and he says to Michael, "You've come home." And then
Also,
every fucking line is like that.
Also, his husband, like, what the
Big
fuck?
John?
What the fuck was he thinking going after Michael with a charcuterie knife?
That was so much. Oh my god! I lost my shit when I saw the charcuterie knife. I wanted to cry because it was so funny. I was like, "Come on, where's the sitcom like canned laughter?" You mean that was written for that?
Also, they know he's in their house. How about you walk out the fucking house and call the cops? Like if I'm in a 2-story house and I realize, holy shit, there's a murderer in the house. You know what my response is? Not to grab a knife and start searching everywhere. It's to slowly but quickly get the fuck out of that house and call 911.
Yeah.
Every one of the people in this film creates their own demise. It's so frustrating.
Except the first couple, the biracial couple.
Yeah, that was just they get
sad.
it the most brutally.
Right?
Too. And they did nothing. It's so weird. The film.
Also, what I found weird was why was Laurie so why? Okay, this is so. One of her first scenes as they're driving away from her home that's burning down. They're screaming at firefighters that are about to go put out the fire. And that whole scene, at least it seemed as if like, oh no, they're about to ruin everything. Then when she wakes up in the hospital, she's just like, as if it never happened. Can you believe it? We did it. We got Michael. I'm like, what? There was a disconnect there.
Yeah.
That doesn't...
There was. I don't know what to tell you.
it's a lot more fun talking about just how weird and dumb and stupid the film is and just bad than it is watching it. It's just like these actors weren't great. There weren't characters. And the thing is, this would all be, I think, forgiven if any of this was the point. This wasn't intentionally made to be comedic or humorous. Like, this was, I felt like it was intended to be played so straight. And like, you know, it's dripping with the lore and like, oh my God, like we're so serious. Look at us like reaching back to 1978 and like connecting all of this. Like, look at how like serious all of this is. And it's a comedy, but it wasn't intended to be a comedy, and that's why it's bad. It's like with Cats. I love the movie, but not because it's good, because it's such a hilarious misfire on every level. I love it, but it's not good because it wasn't. No one in that movie was seeking out to make a comedy, and that's why it's bad. Now, with Malignant, as we said with James Wan, that's a film that is intended to fit that mold and that design. And when walking out of this movie, it's like, man, people were so trashing Malignant for it being bad, and yet they can stomach this and Halloween Kills. This is one of the worst movies, maybe the worst movie I've seen in a theater.
I've seen so much worse.
I wasn't like angry. I wasn't, because it was just...
You looked angry.
I wasn't angry... Yes, I was angry. What was I saying? I was angry.
Don't deny
what I'm
yourself.
saying there. Yes, I was. I was like, I was trying to think of a better word, but really, yeah, I was angry. I was just like, what was I? What were we even doing here? Really, like the kills were great.
There were some good
But
kills.
Everything else around it just sucked so hard, and it brought it all down with me. I'm sorry. This was, if we were double toasted, this would be a fuck you.
But Evil dies tonight.
Okay, low rental.
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Oh no, we killed another innocent person. Evil dies.
I would
tonight.
watch this again, maybe with you guys. Maybe we can do a commentary. Maybe we just laugh at it. I think that maybe. But after that, it's like, man, I think for me, I would just prefer to like think of the original and 2018, and that's it.
There'll be a lot of yelling. I'd be yelling a lot. Like, are you fucking stupid?
I would just chant "Evil dies tonight" the entire time.
Anything else?
When that nurse killed herself was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, the ricochet bullet?
It didn't fucking ricochet. She just pointed it at herself and pulled the trigger.
Wait, okay, which nurse? There was one that was dressed as a nurse.
Okay, the doctor that was dressed as a nurse. When Michael literally just fucking kicked the car door, and it knocked her hand back and just shot herself in the face. How am I? That's the thing. How am I not supposed to cheer for Michael after that? Like,
I know, right?
like.
And the other one, like, choking him out with what it would equivalent to, like, little children's, like, medical set.
Yeah, you're not gonna choke out Michael Myers.
All right, I think we're ready to go here. Thank you all so much for listening to Red Spotlight. Catch us back next week with more stuff. We're going to review Dune. Finally, we have Dune to talk about, and hopefully more content. Also, check out the Fantasy Fair podcast as well on Mondays and Fridays, whichever ones they have new episodes coming up. Keep it here. Stay under the spotlight for more content, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.